All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to your Chapter 3 feedback form. So in this video, I'm going to give you an overview of what this form is and also how we're going to be using this form. So first of all, you'll see in essentially like the title that this form, you'll use it in two classes. You'll use it in EDD 813 and 814. And that's because you're going to write Chapter 3 across these two classes. We're going to get started writing Chapter 3, which is all about your theory of improvement here in 813, but you'll just continue and kind of finish it up in 814. That's to give you enough time to make lots of decisions about your change idea and your PDSA cycle, which is primarily what 813 is about. 813 is about your research action plan. The primary goal is to focus on your IRB application. That's one of our year 2 benchmark assessments, the IRB application, as well as your end of year 2 self-guided self-reflection or guided self-reflection. So you'll see those later on in the course. But we do need to get started writing Chapter 3 of your dissertation. Chapter 3 is all about your theory of improvement. You'll find other resources related to Chapter 3, probably wherever you found this video, such as a Chapter 3 guidebook. Now, because the nature of dissertation writing is different than the nature of just like writing a paper or writing a discussion forum, this process will be a little bit more streamlined and maybe a little bit more formal than how you've experienced writing some papers in the past and writing dissertation chapters. But now that you're working with your dissertation chair, it's important to establish some rhythm moving forward. Now, the rhythm that we'll take here in 813, you'll see it mimicked in 815 or in 813 and 814. You'll see the same process mimicked when we write up Chapter 4, which is all about implementation. We'll write up Chapter 4 in 815 and 816. And then you'll have the same process when we write up Chapter 5 in 817. So also same process for Chapter 1 that you'll also work on toward the end of the program. So this is a feedback form. This is not your Chapter 3 document. This feedback form is primarily meant to log all of your feedback, or excuse me, all of your feedback and revision requests that your dissertation chair has for you. So it's instead of kind of getting your one document back with maybe all of these embedded comments and highlights, etc., this is a streamlined way of collecting all of those for you. Now, your chair might also give you embedded comments within your document, but everything should essentially be summarized here on this form. So a few quick instructions. Do make sure that you name this form appropriately. Having a really good system for naming your files is going to be extremely important because you're going to pass Chapter 3 back and forth between yourself and your dissertation chair multiple times. We don't just write Chapter 3 in one fell swoop. Not possible. You would hate it. It's so much writing. So this is how it might be different of, again, you're passing it back and forth and you're working on it over time. So make sure that you name it appropriately. We're recommending that the date is the date of your submission, so that, when your chair saves their own versions of your files, we'll have this kind of submission tracking system. It'll be tracked in Canvas too, but this will be really helpful for you. If you don't have a good system for naming your files, you're going to get really turned around. I've had some students submit the wrong version and I spend 45 minutes feedbacking the wrong version, and that is no fun for anyone. So starting now, get into a really good habit of naming your files appropriately. Now, with each submission, each Chapter 3 assignment submission that you have here in 813, 814, you're going to submit 2 files. You're going to submit your Chapter 3 document, like your official Chapter 3 document of your dissertation. We're putting it right into the template. I know you've had to kind of work with Chapter 2 template stuff in the past, but you're putting it right into the template. So it's going to look like APA style. It's going to look like Times New Roman, size 12 font, right? And you're going to submit this Chapter 3 feedback form. So you're going to take these 2 files and essentially pass them back and forth, right? Your instructor, your chair will review your Chapter 3 file and log a lot of their revision requests here in this form. your goals, stay organized, name your files carefully, complete all revision requests and have them approved by your chair. So there's going to be a list of them when they send them back. Your goal is to attend to them right away and essentially hopefully get those revisions approved. You'll add revision comments in your chapter document. So this is something, and you'll see I'll keep scrolling down, but this process is extremely helpful for streamlining the feedback process. That if you edit let's say a paragraph, or you adjust the topic sentence because maybe that's the revision request, that you highlight that change and you have an embedded comment. Tracking changes is also really helpful. That's going up to the review tab in Microsoft Word, heading over here to track changes and turning track changes on. It's highlighted so you can see if I type here, I'll see some of those track changes. If seeing those track changes bothers you, like it's just too much red stuff, instead of looking at all markup, you can look up at simple. You can change it to simple markup. This red line over here tells me that there's a markup somewhere, or you can change it to no markup, which you don't see anything, but it's still tracking your changes in the background. Your dissertation chair can turn it to all markup and see those changes. So right now I'm going to reject those changes because I don't want them here in this document. And I turn track changes off. So you will want to make sure that not only you're doing the revisions, but you're showing your chair where you made those revisions. And that'll be through embedded comments and tracking your changes. Adding embedded revision comments and tracking your changes. Essentially, we don't want to have to be a detective as to figure out, well, what did you change? Because, surprise, your dissertation chair and myself, we will not remember all 15, 18, 20 pages that we read word for word of your last submission. If we do, something is wrong with us. And your goal is to reach proficient in all sections within 1 to 2 weeks of your initial submission for that section, which means that you're attending to it right away. So here in this feedback form, you will find that each section of your chapter 3 has its own rubric and its own space for your chair's feedback and the revision requests associated with it. So I'll scroll down. You had your introduction. The second section in chapter 3 is your stakeholder engagement. The third section is your theory of improvement, and so on, right? And I'm not going to walk through all of these rubrics one by one, but when you submit your chapter 3 and your chapter 3 feedback form, depending on what sections you are asked to complete, you're not writing all of it at once. In each individual chapter 3 assignment that you have tells you specifically work on this section, or these 3 sections, but there's specific sections you'll work on for each chunk, right? Your dissertation chair will review it, and for each section, they will rate you. They'll give you this rubric rating of strong, proficient, developing, or inadequate. Some of these sections have one criteria, some of them have multiple criteria, so they're all a little bit different. Your goal is to eventually reach proficient within 1 to 2 weeks. Your goal is proficient. Your goal could also be strong, but we want everybody to, in order to get through chapter 3 and have it approved and kind of ready for your dissertation, needs to be up into the proficient. Don't be surprised if your first submission, even if it's, please never submit your first rough draft, just don't. Make sure that you've written your first rough draft, but then you've revised it and edited it maybe once or twice. So your dissertation chair is at least getting your second draft, your third draft. Maybe it comes back at developing and there are a handful of revision requests down here. Then hopefully as you attend to those requests, you'll reach into the proficient. There's a space for each of these sections for your DIP chair to leave comments or feedback. So be on the lookout for some specific instructor feedback here. This is sometimes where I'll add additional notes, or I'll give some celebrations or some comments. Maybe I need to narratively outline some of these revision requests that I might have down here. So you might see something here, or you might not. Now, in this revision request table, there's places for the instructor, your chair, to respond, and then spaces for you, the student, to respond. So, for example, our introduction is our first section. So these revision request numbers are labeled 1.1, 1.2, and 1.3. Here's a sample request. Revise the paragraph for clarity and coherence. Ensure paragraph has a clear main topic sentence. So maybe the paragraph was really disorganized. The due date, the instructor will have the due date. There's probably just the next Sunday. And then when you resubmit it, your status, you are probably, hopefully, typing complete with comment, which means you've embedded a comment within the document. So again, you're going into your chapter 3, you're highlighting the main topic sentence, and in that revision request, you're saying, okay, this is revision 1.1. I revised the main topic sentence. So complete with a comment. Any notes that you might have or like reflections for your instructor, you can type them there. And then whether or not it's approved or not, your instructor will fill out this approval section. So they might even not approve it and ask you to go back and do it again, even if, let's say that your first revision doesn't quite hit the mark. So any revision requests that are specifically for your introduction will be labeled numbered 1.1, 1.2, 1.3. Here's an example of a revision comment. So for each revision you make, highlight the specific revision in your, let's just say chapter 3 document. Let me go ahead and edit that right now. You'll see a similar form in your chapter 4. Add a comment with revision 1.1 or revision 2.4, whatever that revision number is. That way, as an instructor, we can easily locate it. We can kind of skip through the comments. We might not have to read every single word over again if all we're looking for are a few quick changes. So these revision comments, we want to see those embedded comments highlighted specifically where it is. And when I say specifically, like let's say you revised a main topic sentence in the 4th paragraph of a section, please don't highlight the section header and say, I revised the main topic sentence. Like highlight the main topic sentence that you revised. Like hold our hands, point us directly to the things that we need to see. Section 2 is stakeholder engagement. So there's a few different criteria here for stakeholder engagement. There's a stakeholder summary table that's part of your chapter 3. So there's a rubric there for that. Again, a space for your comments. And here, look, these revision request numbers are 2.1, 2.2, 2.3. So there's the second section. And so on. So you'll see a rubric for each of your sections. Now, I'll also say these rubrics are going to be mimicked or mirrored in your Canvas submissions. And so with each, as you submit your draft and then as you submit your revisions, hopefully some of those, ultimately we want this whole document right here at the very end. Because remember, we're going to pass the same document back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. That when your chapter 3 is done, we want to see that you have been rated proficient in all of the sections or proficient or higher. Your chair will adjust the scoring of the rubric each time. Okay. Great. I think that's it for this feedback form. Things that may or may not be obvious. Hopefully it's obvious. You're going to download this form one time, and it's that one file that you'll pass back and forth. The things that you'll change are you'll respond to those revision requests in the table. You'll update the file number or the file name. You'll update the date that's there in that file each and every time. But get really used to passing 2 files back and forth in Canvas. Upload those 2 separate files, not in one document. We want them as 2 separate documents. Oh, the last thing I'll say is I've worked with this rhythm with students in the past, and they really enjoy, and I like it as well. If you're a 2-screen or a 3-screen person, I have 2 screens, I can have my feedback form and all of my task list, all of my to-do list of all the revisions I need to make on one screen or half of the screen. And I can have my chapter 3 document up and edit my chapter 3 document as I go. So that way it's kind of like this feedback form should be a helpful to-do list. Like you've got a nice tracking list. There should be no questions as to what do I need to fix? What do I need to revise? It should all be outlined and delineated here for you. So that's it. If you have any questions, please reach out to your chair. And other than that, good luck. And it might take a rep or 2 to get the system, to understand the system of the process here. But then it should run pretty smoothly. Okay, good luck.